Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, guys, we're back, and I'm joined by the one and only Mr. George Turnage. George, I love when you come on, and happy holidays, first of
Thank
all.
you kindly. I
And
hope
you
you
got
ate a
something.
lot.
You got something going on Monday, which I just heard about, which is pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yes, on Monday I'm going to Times Square to see my billboard.
So you're going to be up in Times Square. You're going to have a billboard in Times Square.
Absolutely, above the U.S. Polo Building and 2 doors down from Forever 21
That's awesome.
on Broad Street.
That is great, man. And how was your holidays?
It was really good. It was intimate because, without my wife and without, the literally tens and tens of people that are typically here eating a huge feast. It was only myself and my goddaughter Oshunbe me, and she cooked with two of my godsons before they went on to their moms. And it was very, very different, but it was very intimate. We got a chance to toast with wine and eat some really nice food.
All right. Well, that's great. That you with family, that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, I hope you had the same time.
I did. Thank you. Yeah, my nephews got to see them, and we put
Cool.
together a project, and it was great. But you told us a couple shows back. You were telling us this story, and it was awesome. And we got. Maybe you can give us a review because I don't want to mispronounce this person's name.
Baron.
Baron.
Yeah, see, it's spelled like Baron, Baron, but in Haitian Creole, they do not pronunciate the R. So it's like bar, like going to a bar, and
Okay.
then on, baron.
Okay, and this I just can't get the vision out of my head. He's tall and he's got a top
Yeah.
hat.
Typically, he'll wearing either a top hat or derby. The image, just think of the Hollywood images. Tall, usually have powder on his face, with a top hat and a black a tuxedo suit, and that's the image that they usually carry. And he wears dark sunshades, things like that. So Baon is a little bit more than that. Most people are afraid of him. They say mort, which means death. He was one of the forces that the people from the Congo brought with them when they were captives, and it was used for healing infectious diseases and things like that. But it was scary because they could never really touch him or do a possession or whatever of him without the person knowing that they were going to their death. And so what happened, there were things that they did to compromise so that he could teach them how to handle that type of spirituality without dying, because there were a lot of really powerful, very important people, both men and women, who would handle that type of energy and die. So they definitely worked that out where people could not only bring him in a spiritual possession, but also be able to work with him medicinally. He was the one that showed them the secret of what most people talk about as zombie. Zombie means spirit, where they would work with a person who had infectious disease or some type of heart or internal problems, that he could actually work with, do an operation or remove something or what have you, or get to the source of whatever the person was having in their body. And as I believe mentioning the tetrarentria, a powder is what they would give the person that will put them into a state near death, where it was pretty much difficult to determine a heartbeat, they could feel, they could receive pain without feeling it, therefore no body reaction to the pain. And then they could do, they did head, if they wanted to relieve pressure from the brain, they wanted there were clogging in the heart or arteries, if there was something in the lungs, the liver, the kidney, something that was important that was causing the death of someone who needed it. And then later on, they began to use it against the Haitians and things. They were trying to tell people they were going to make them a zombie. They would get this dust or this powder and blow it into the first. Have you seen the movie with Wade Davis?
I
Where they
haven't.
would, yeah, it was the movie. I can't recall the name, but it was A Serpent in the Rainbow is what the movie was called.
Okay.
And they would blow the powder in his face, and he would go into the coma and so forth and so on.
Is it like
But that
anesthesia almost?
exactly that's where a lot of the anesthesia comes from, out of the Congo and out of the West, particularly with the Kushites and different ones in the southern parts of Africa and the south central parts of Africa, that where they were doing, they would find mummies that they saw had brain surgeries and or other types of surgeries, and could not understand, without having the type of technology and surgical instruments that we have today,
Wow.
how were they able to do this? But
Yeah.
they certainly had, they certainly did it, and they were evidence that they found when they recovered, especially important people, you know, kings, queens, prince or princess, and they were able to see the results.
It's amazing.
So that's just Bound in a nutshell. He is often portrayed by people who want to scare other people. And I mean this by way of Haitians, by way of the American South, and throughout the Caribbean, different people who want to actually give some type of fright to people, will try to do that by using his name and his image. But even though I can tell you, and I'll keep doing this because as we did the last time, people trying to call me.
Right.
Yeah, stop it.
It's
Stop
okay.
it. And oh, come on.
It's
Come on,
it.
man.
It's live radio, so that's
Live radio. We'll
it
just let
happens.
it go. Yeah. So y- wait a minute. Yeah, I got you. I'll fix you. I- my God. They just won't hang, they won't go away.
You're an
Yeah.
important guy, my friend.
Yeah, but here's the thing about it. Um, I've met this force, not only on my godfather, which was my wife's priest who initiated her. When we say your head is bound, that means that the spirit that you carry that rules your head and mind is the spirit that we call on you for. Like, for example, you have a force called for Ogun. Ogun is a force of power. Well, his fire and iron is his weapon, but he is a force of war, of very seriousness, strictness, business, and things like that. You have Ogun,
Okay.
but there are others who have Baon, and but and like I told you, he puts on the thing, he tell you always sees him like something stinks, because he's always like wah, 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 wah. Talks like the penguin on Batman, wah, wah, wah,
And
wah,
he's
wah.
smoking a cigarette or something, like a long
Yeah, is
cigarette.
they have a long, cigarette. That's where they got that image when they did the penguin. That's exactly where
Wow.
they took that from, was from Baum.
And people always leaving him stuff. They leave him like whiskey or something. They leave him.
Oh yes, they're constantly because not only foods, like his offering is a black goat. Most people will kill, clean, cook, and prepare foods. It's always with hot pepper, because his foods are always hot. His drink is hot or with hot pepper. And the I'm telling you, they're interested in talking to me today. So they, you know, his drink is very fiery. His food is hot. One of his foods I like a lot, that if you ever get a chance to try, is called pickles. It's a coleslaw with hot peppers in it,
Oh wow.
and it is so tasty when you eat it with other grilled meats and things like that. But nonetheless, okay, because I want to make sure we get a chance to talk about this incident with him. So, like I said, I had just flown home from Florida after doing the conference and everything there. When I get to the airport, my head is dizzy. So I know he's riding. Now, he had already warned me a week or so ago that he was going to come and do this possession, which I had never done before. I have brought the possession of bound before, but it was like doing a ceremony or some type of work that we had to do for somebody. But this is, he was talking about, was a 3-day possession. And I'm very apprehensive and very scared, to put it frankly. I had never done, my wife has done it for years. So she was the lead who had do this, and I was the one that would be with him during the entire time, meaning, protecting her body, making sure that he went to the bathroom and just things like that. So I was apprehensive and scared, and so when I got home Monday, I think I told you I tried to get my two goddaughters home, and I was upset because they needed me to take them home, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I get one to her house. I can't see. I'm driving almost over the road. It's dark outside, and I'm really really trying to take myself. Then my other daughter talks about Wawa. And you take me to Wawa. I need to go to Wawa, and I'm pissed off. So I pull into Wawa, and I go to back up, and I hit the back of my frame of my SUV. I jumps out, and I'm like, oh my God. But I hit it with my hand, and everything straightens out. It goes in. She goes into Wawa. She's taking her time to pick out all of the things she wants, fruits, cakes, and I'm literally all over her, telling her, you gotta, we gotta go,
Right.
So we leave, we get home, I unpack, I take my suitcase inside, I sit on my front porch in a chair, and uh, two people come up to talk to me. One of my god sisters and my godson, I mean, he's a god brother, but he is my stepson. They're telling me about this possession, and they're worried, and they don't want me to do it. And I'm sitting there very quiet. I'm smoking a cigar, trying to just calm myself. And so we go into it, and long story short, Monday night, I go into it, and I'm don't go into the possession, but I go into him riding me. That when you feel the energy around you, it's called riding you,
Okay.
And then the next day, I lay down, and I know I'm getting close, and now he comes to speak to me. I don't see him visually, but I hear him talking to me about death and about what he shows me these flowers, which are lilies, which is one of their favorite flowers, because it's like a fleur de lis. And he begins to show me the decay. He said, "Look, can't you see the decay, the dying?" And at first, I couldn't see anything, and then I said, "Oh yes, yes, I do see it." And he began to explain, what all of that is about, the transition of these types of things. And this was on Tuesday, and then he locks me by locking my hands over my chest while I slept, and I was breathing deep, and then I got kind of, I know he was just trying to calm me down, but I was not calming down,
You was
Go into
anxious. You had anxiety.
Oh yes, oh yes. I go into Wednesday, and I'm still sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God, okay. Um, then all of a sudden, I go into a really deep sleep. And from what I understand from my goddaughter, he gets up, he dresses himself, he takes there's a morning medication I have to take, and he takes it. He has no problem with it. He dresses himself and all his, because I have his things there. And actually, they were supposed to come in and do all of this, but he did that. And he's sitting there on the side of the bed, pushing buttons on my telephone. He called Europe. He called New Orleans. He called and my godbrother in Africa. I mean, he's just pushing buttons, playing on the buttons and getting. I guess he's using whatever memory I have. I told you that one of the things that makes you eligible for a possession is you must be knowledgeable. You must have things in you that the force can give. Because what happens is you and I, our consciousness right now is called the Tibonage, which just means it's a small angel. The Loa, or the force, is called the Guobonage, which is the larger angel. And what happens, they put you to sleep and then they wake up. But they won't do that for everybody, for the simple fact that a person must have knowledge of how to speak the language, or even if they don't speak the language, they know, they have knowledge of what to do. It's like you and I, we're going to go ride some horses, we corral some, we look for the horse that you think is the best one, and you get on it, you break it so that it's get used to being ridden.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happens in a spiritual possession, is what's going on.
Okay.
And so we go on, and he spends the 3 days in Sarah's. They have all this food prepared for him. They have all of these things. He starts giving messages to people, because a lot of visitors came by, and they're recording. And what is some of the recordings of him talking to people about is making good choices. And his thing was like, he said, whichever way you choose. Because if you choose the choice that you want, knowing that it's because you may think it's a lot of money, or you may think that it's something that you can get real quick, may not be the best choice for you. And if you make that choice, there are other forces that is in the life and the walk in every human being. I don't care who you are, you, me, the president, everybody has those types of forces within us. They will play games with you. You make a bad choice like that, it's like being in a circus or on a merry-go-round, or they go up, down, round, round. Your life will become very interesting until you begin to start begging to get out of it. Like the guy, I think I was telling you about the guy who was getting the money, what is it called? American something, where he was flying all of this cocaine in from Colombia. And then he had so much money, that money was a problem. Then he couldn't get rid of it. I mean, it becomes interesting in that kind of scenario.
Gotcha.
So then Friday was he told them what to do so that he could leave, and he left. And it leaves you kind of not very weak, but you are kind of you feeling it, you weak. I go and lay down all of Saturday, just chill, and I'm sitting on the porch again. And Sunday, I'm really much recovered, and then here we are talking about it. It's a lot more that went on, but I just don't want to use the entire time, so that we can talk about some things.
Yeah. That's an amazing. Thanks for man. I got so many questions, but what else is on your mind? Because I could ask you questions about that forever, but I want to get to if you had something that you wanted to talk about today. I don't want to hold you back, but
Yeah, one of the things that we can talk about, Casey, is the reason why we're putting this spiritual billboard up is because I need the support of the people. I'm so glad that I can do this to help support Podcast Business Network, but also I love the idea that you guys are also sending traffic to me to help people. I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm not here to pretend. I don't use crystal balls, crystals, all of these types of things, tarot cards, tea leaves. I don't do any of that. But I am a person that can divine problems and see things for folks. I've worked with folks in business, medicine. I've worked with folks in child rearing, marriages, relationships, and I'm here to get people to get in, to come and talk with me about certain things, because you may think that you have everything all together and you forgot one particular important thing, or something that you didn't think was so important, and I may see it and can tell you about it, and it made all the difference between the success of what you're trying to do and the failure. So at 215-276-3633 is the house number, but my cell is 215 eight, what's my cell number? Two- it's something I'll remember it later on,
Okay.
but um, but also the number on the billboard is going to be there, and I plan to make sure that um, to serve people in the way that we have always been able to serve people for 40 some odd years, and successfully, and have made people successful. No, we can't cure any disease and every disease, but we can show you the path. Let's look at the way. I do have medicines, herbs and things like that that you've never heard of. You can't even get a hold of them. My lawyer is asking me to create things that like soaps and other types of apothecary for baths and elixirs and things like that. And I'm looking forward to doing those things to put on the website that's going to look exactly like what the billboard looks like. And I promise you that if you whatever it is that I'm saying on there, that if you interested, and the billboard reads want to know, and it has about business, romance, health, the heart, all those types of things. I can definitely do those things, have done them, are well trained in them. I've trained others, and so forth. So please use me, uh, even if it's just you trying to. I have a lot of people that want to test you, as you can imagine. Casey, people want to call you up and test you and play tricks. There are other people, like the day before, there was a lady that called me and she was telling me how she wanted me to teach her and train her some things. And she has been all over the place. And I'm very much not the one to accept people who are looking to just add me on as a list of things that they have done. That's not how I'm here to be used. I'm here to be used spiritually. I'm here to be used by your spiritual God and the God in you and all of the goodness that you're looking at. Don't call me if you want to hurt somebody.
Okay.
Don't call me if you want to kill somebody. Don't call me if you want to steal somebody's husband or wife. Don't call me for any of those things, because it's not going to happen.
It's
And
all negative
that's not
stuff.
what. Yeah, I'm not into that. Now I can see what happened to people negatively and can work to help rid of or to remove certain things that people are suffering from. Even if it's something that you did to yourself, we can do those types of works and those types of things.
Like an addiction or
But I'm
something
not
like that?
here. Addictions, as I've done with drug addictions. I've helped people with mental illnesses, behavioral problems, things like that. We've been able to really, really deal with. And addictions and those things are very, very difficult to deal with. But they're like, remember I told you, there are forces like what we call Dambala from Dahomey. Dambala, like Obatala, they're kindred forces, one from Oyo, the other one from Dahomey, and so forth, rule the mind and the body. And what we've come to find out and discover, that when we get people to focus primarily inside of their body, aside from medications and things like that, that they can pretty much cure in anything inside of them if they allow the force of their own strength and their own power to do so.
Mm, wow. So there's a whole bunch of different reasons why people would ask to work with you.
Yeah,
So it doesn't have to be something wrong. Some people might think there's something missing, or
that is true. Or
uh,
they want to confirm something that's right. They want to make sure they got it right. Confirmations are typical, about the type of things that people are looking for. Like now I'm getting talks to people are talking about doing movies or some type of documentary. I do have the people from PBN who are going to come and sit down with me in my home in the Pocono and talk about, to interview me, to talk about these kinds of things.
cool.
And I'll get a chance to share with them the places around the world where we have been, where my name is actually known, not only throughout the United States, but throughout the diaspora, Africa and Central and South America. And, we've come a long way. So I'm starting over now that my wife and I, that she has ascended. I'm now looking forward to doing the things that now I have to do. Not only my lawyers, but other people in the spirituality have said that now you can do what you do, that you cannot be Mambo, which was my wife. Mambo did her thing. She was very powerful. She was very well known, but you were right there with her to do all of those things. And you learned from her and you taught people and you did these kinds of things. Now we're waiting for you.
No, it's your time to do that. All right, George, let me give you the last word here because we're out of time, but looking forward to hearing what comes next. It's always awesome to talk to you. But let me give you the last word here.
Okay.
Once again, how people get a hold of you.
Right. Well, first of all, the last word is always I'm going to bless KC. I'm going to bless the PBN business and all of the people associated, that they can continue to do the great work that they do. Always reach me at growhungan@gmail.com. That's GROHUNGAN@gmail.com or 215-869-5322. Please call me, email me. You can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I'm always known as Yatande, Yatande, Yatande. God bless all of you. I don't care who you are, what you've done, all of the negative stuff that's going on. You cannot get me to hate you. You can always get me to help you, though. I may not like what you do or what you have done, but I promise you, we can get to a place where you need to be, that you can find that even-mindedness. Bless you.
Bless you too, George. Thank you so much. And everybody stay right there. We'll be right back. Thanks, George.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.